Okay, so back in February of last year, I showed you guys how to make this little knitting loom here. But I just basically told you guys to find a tutorial on your own so you know how to use it. But none of the looms really look like the one I made, so I felt kind of guilty about it. So I'm going to make this tutorial and hopefully it'll explain some things. So if you made your knitting loom correctly, it should look like this. This end is here because that's the end of the wire, but it's also very convenient if you say want to take like your headphone cord and knit around it, because then you can just put this in here. Because once you start making this this little knitting project, it would be very difficult to slip over the top of this. So you can just simply put this in here and then knit around it. But for now I'm just going to show you guys how to do it without that. It's basically the same process, but this will be a little bit easier to see, so it's not, that cord's not in your way there. Anyway, so the first thing you need is this, and then you need a crochet hook. I recommend getting one that's smooth. They do make them so that they're sharper on the tips here. It's just easier to keep the little threads of yarn together if you use something that's smooth. So you got your knitting, oh yeah, and also you just want it to be small enough so that it'll kind of fit in between these. It doesn't have to fit perfectly, but so that it's kind of easy to get through there. So you got those two. And then you got your yarn. And for tying it off and finishing it, you're going to need some scissors. So anyway, first thing you're going to do is you're going to make a slip knot. However you choose to make your slip knot, that's just how I do mine. And then you're going to tighten it up here. And I'm going to start on this first hook here because I can see where the end of each row is going to be since there's this opening here at the bottom. So you just slip it over the first hook and then you pull it tight, and you're going to want your tail end to just kind of hang. So you got one loop on your first hook, and now we've got to put a loop on each of the other hooks. And we're just going to go around. So looking at it from the top, first loop, I'm going to just loop it around the next from the inside, and I'm just going to keep doing that till I get all the way around. Okay, so I've got one loop on each hook. Don't make it too tight because then it's going to be harder to pull these over the top of the hooks. I'm going to kind of push those down a little bit because we're going to make one more row of loops. So you're just going to start where you left off, see how that end is open? And I'm just going to put another row of loops right over the top of my first ones. So it's going to look like this. Oops. Messed up there. Okay, all the way around. So now each hook has two loops. And then you're going to pick up your crochet hook, and you're going to take the bottom loop and pull it over the top. Might be a little tight at first. And you just keep going around and around. Make sure you get all those strands. Sometimes they like to separate. See, I got one right there I need to get. There. And just kind of keep that tail out of your way. Okay. So then what you do is you basically just keep doing the same thing over and over again. You got one row of loops again, so now you got to make another one. And you just keep going around it. Pull the bottom loop over the top loop and off the hook. Oops. And you basically just keep going until you get a tail that looks kind of like this. And you make it as long as you want. Okay, so at some point you're going to want to get this piece that you've created off of the loom here. So what you would normally do is you would just go around and around and around for your next row, but what you want to do instead is the one where you would wrap it around normally on this hook, you want to take the loop off. And then you want to cut this, give yourself about 5 or 6 inches, maybe 7, and take this loop that you just pulled off and put your crochet hook through it. Take the piece that you just cut off, the loose end of the yarn, and pull it through that loop. Hopefully you'll get it better than I just did there. Oh boy. Okay. Just like that. And then you're going to do the same thing with the next one. Just going to pull it off, put the crochet hook through, and wrap it around your loose tail end and pull that through. And you just keep going around and around, pulling the loose end of the yarn through the loops. You can use a bigger needle too if that works better for you. Got one more left. Pull that last one through. Then you can just basically set this aside. And you can pull this tight. Then usually I like to go through anywhere in the piece and pull the tail end through here, leaving a little bit, and then looping the end through and tightening it. That way you create kind of a knot. And then rather than cutting it off, probably what you should do is just stick your crochet hook somewhere through your piece up into the end and pull this tail through. And then you can cut it there. Make sure you don't cut your piece though. That way it's just kind of hidden it up inside there. And you can do the same thing with the end here if you want. Of course your piece will probably be much longer. And cut that end off as well. And there you go. That's it.